Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Um, New video quickly after the previous one. I know, shocker, considering my turnaround rate with videos is not great percentage-wise, but I said I would talk about my experience being a special education teacher now that we're halfway through the school year, so here it is. So what I'm doing right now is working as a resource teacher for an elementary school. K through 5 specifically. And for those who don't know what a resource teacher is in regards to special education, it's basically you have your own classroom like you would in a self-contained or a special day class, except um, students at certain times of each day will come to your class to work on their IEP goals and catch up on classwork and homework if need be, and then send them back and then repeat the process until the school day ends. So that's what I do, and it kind of fits with my experience overall because previously I did 2 years as a resource special education paraeducator at a different school district. So not too much of a big change there, but I'm officially a teacher now. I'm going to school right now to get my teaching credential. So right now I'm actually a teacher intern, and then I will get my teacher credential if all goes well, June 2027. So there's that little background there. But as for my actual experience being a resource teacher in a brand new school, brand new district, oh man, it's quite the journey, to say the least. So, but this school that I'm at, it's a fantastic school, and you could probably sense a button coming, but it has nothing to do with the school itself nor the teachers. It's more so to do with just my personal experience on navigating a brand new career and place, and that's been honestly with any new thing, it's gonna be a struggle. You know, the teachers, they all have their own. I don't want to say cliques because that sounds too harsh of a word, and they have their own like foundation, their own rhythm, their routines going on. You know, so me as a brand new person coming there to a school where actually a majority of teachers there have been there for 5+ years, which I know sounds like you're probably thinking, okay, 5+ years, that's little nothing. But to me, that's different because the school I was at previously, the turnover rate at my school was very high. So very few teachers at my other school were there for 5+ years. So this new school, this has seasoned veterans. So they, like I said, and they all have their own friend groups going on, routines, rhythm, et cetera, et cetera. So that is completely fine. I am not at all judging them on that. I'm not at all hating on that. That is their thing. That's what they've been doing for many years. They know what they're doing. It's just they see me as a brand new person, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like a lot of them at first were I don't know, it's hard to tell if it was because if they're not sure how to approach me because I'm brand new, not just at school but also a brand new teacher. Also could just be like they don't, a lot of teachers don't want the routines disrupted or anything, so they see a new teacher come in, and that can kind of create like a little bit of a, I don't know if power struggle is the right word, but like, I guess just a struggle in general with someone new, trying to figure out what other people's routines are, and trying to my best to respect that, but also needing to do my job in the best way that I can do as well. So there's that. It's been kind of a struggle fitting in, and I'm not, and it's not, again, I just want to emphasize, it's not because the school has it's a hostile work environment. It is nothing like that. It's just, again, teachers have been there many years. They've got their own thing going on. I'm a brand new teacher. It's just, it's hard to kind of fit in with that kind of group, when they, especially when, all the teachers are very, well, I don't know about all, but most of the teachers are very closely tight knit, which is good. That is something you don't see very often in school these days, is having a tight knit group of teachers. So again, I need to emphasize, I'm not at all hating or judging them on that, because I feel like if I don't emphasize enough, it's my words are gonna get twisted or misinterpreted. So I just want to lay that out there. Um, man, life of being a new teacher, it's difficult. It's a lot of paperwork involved. For those who don't know, as a resource teacher, you have more kids on your caseload than you would as a special day teacher or self-contained teacher, whatever terminology you want to use for that. So for right now, I have 29 students. Sorry, saying kids sounds weird. 29 students and counting. For those who don't know, in California, when it comes to special education, the caseload limit is 28, and if you go beyond that, whichever district you're in is required to give you additional support or additional money. And if they don't, then there's a whole legal problem process there. But I got my 29th kid just before winter break, so the process for me hasn't really started yet. But basically, a ton of paperwork you gotta do. IEP meetings constantly. And I just feel like that's a job in and of itself, because and when I say paperwork, to specify, there is a saying on this website called SEIS, SEIS. What it stands for escapes me right now, but that's the website you got to go to input information on the students' profiles regarding any accommodations they have, any changes to addresses, any changes to the goals, etc., etc. It's all on there, and it is a lot to keep track of, especially for a resource teacher. Again, resource teachers usually have a ton of kids. I'm not saying resource teachers usually have 28 plus kids. I think I'm kind of an uncommon anomaly in that, because I have a intern teacher who's also a resource teacher, intern mentor teacher who's also a resource teacher, and she has 16 kids on her caseload. So I don't want to scare any potential people away. I just putting out there that I'm pretty sure I'm an outlier in that aspect. Whereas with SDC classes, those have it can range anywhere from 6 to 12 on average. I've never really seen SDC class be higher than 12, so I'm assuming that's pretty much the limit, and if the limit is over that, then that's a whole other problem right there too. Yeah, lots of paperwork to keep track of, lots of updating. For those who don't know, for those who also don't know, if you're on, whether it's resource teacher or SDC teacher's caseload, you have what's called an annual. You got to meet at least once a year with the parents to let them know how they're doing on their goals and how they're doing in class, what their grades are, behavior, etc., etc. But usually, well, not usually, but sometimes we'll meet more than once a year for the student in question to do what's called amendment meetings, going over it's kind of more or less the same as an annual meeting, but there's no really, it's kind of hard to say. An amendment meetings can be kind of fluid. They can be pretty much about anything. They can be about just, how the student's doing in class, and if the teacher and student are having a conflict. It could just be parents wanting to change the goals of the student's IEP. It could just be the student needing more support overall. So amendment meetings could be about literally everything, and that is something I have to do on top of the annual meetings plus the triennial meetings. And just quick side note, triennials are very similar to annuals, except we have to retest the kid regarding academics, and the school psychologist is also involved too. And also not only that, but if the student has speech and occupational therapy, they also have to be retested on that too. So a kid could easily have just what's called a specialized academic instruction, which would just fall under, resource teacher, me, or SDC teacher. And then they can also have a speech and or OT on top of that. And sometimes kids can also just have just a speech IEP. That's also very much a thing too. The speech therapist at my school has 40-ish kids, which is a lot, but speech students who have speech are only seen once or twice a week for 30-minute blocks each. So speech teachers caseload limits are higher because of that. So there's that there. But man, I tell you, it's been a struggle. Overall, it's been a struggle, but kind of a fun struggle, if that makes sense. Because with so many students I have on my caseload, it's hard to divvy up, the best time for a student or a group of students to come into my classroom, and I also have to revolve their time around, recess, and some of the students at my school do music, so I can't pull them out during music. I can't pull them out during PE. Can't pull them out during lunchtime, obviously. At my school, we also have what's called a mandatory library time, so I can't pull them out during library time either. So yeah, that's been a big struggle. Scheduling, for those who work at schools, I'm sure scheduling is probably the biggest nightmare of the job, because you have to accommodate other people's schedules and make sure, triple check to make sure that the timing of said student being pulled out to the classroom works. And not only that, but scheduling IEP meetings, making sure both the teacher of the student and parents of the student are available to meet for that meeting, and that's also not even including potential speech and OT teachers as well. So that is again, I feel like I'm doing 2 or 3 jobs in one, with all this paperwork and scheduling I have to do, and then on top of helping the kids progress on their IEP goals and classwork. So, but again, I do want to say that it is kind of a fun struggle. I do legitimately enjoy the school I work at. I enjoy my students. Knock on wood. I guess it's kind of wood there. I don't have any big behavior students. All of them just have academic needs, and that's it. None of them are big. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but but they're all well, for the most part, well behaved. They come in, they know what to do, they act accordingly for the most part, and they go back. So I would say I'm lucky and grateful in that regard, because I know not every teacher has that. So it's kind of a catch-22, yeah, I think I forgot what I was going to say after that. Oh, catch-22 of having well-behaved students, but also having a ton of them at the same time. So I'm still waiting to hear back from my district on what support they're going to give me and when is that going to take place, because I've heard horror stories about school districts, just taking their sweet time giving teachers the support that they need, and it's one of the reasons why teachers quit. So we'll see how that pans out. I'll give you guys an update on that. Trying to think of what else I can say about the job. And also being an intern, you have to go to school alongside doing your job. So that's also been kind of a little bit of struggle trying to find time to do, or make time for schoolwork in the midst of, your job. Because sometimes there have been times where I've taken my job home in order to catch up on stuff. And I'm one of those people that like absolutely separates work life from home life. But there's times where, obviously depending on what position you're in, of course, where that has to bleed over in order to, really get stuff done and be on top of it. Otherwise you're just going to be even more behind, and it creates a huge mess where it gets even harder in the long run to get yourself out of. So there's that. And then back to the schooling. It's kind of different for everybody because it depends on what school I go to. But my school is once a week, every Saturday, except for holiday weekends and breaks. For 6 hours, learning about anything from managing student behaviors to academic testing to literacy instructions to mathematics, etc., etc. We learn the whole thing alongside our job, which is good because that means all the techniques we're learning, we can take that and incorporate that into our job as the year progresses. So, it's not one of those things where it's like you take all these classes and then months later you get your job. No, you take it simultaneously, which I think is smart. And then, but in it being my first year, halfway through, I know I'll get the rhythm down more. I know it's it is going to take time. It's a process where I do tell myself and other people who are in the same boat as me or a similar boat that you got to be patient with the process and with yourself. That you're going to make undoubtedly a lot of mistakes when you're first starting out, but you will learn from them and it will get better as time goes on, and you'll be more experienced and confident in what you're teaching and what meetings you're running and how you interact with your teachers or your fellow teachers. So give yourself a little bit of grace. And I know it's easier said than done. I went through quick side story, and then I'll wrap up this video. I went through just like I don't know what you would call it, like kind of like I went through the trenches with this one teacher at my school because I guess the teacher in question wasn't really a fan of how the turnaround for getting this kid's IEP done was as quick as she wanted it. And also she is not a fan of the times I'm taking kids out of her classroom, and also she doesn't like me coming into her classroom to get the kids. And that all kind of came to a blow at the beginning of December, kind of sort of, which really upset me because everything was fine between us, but then all of a sudden this happened, and it just really upset me because of how harshly she words things to me. So that really just threw me off for a little bit there, and it took me by surprise too, because again we were getting along great, but then all of a sudden this happens, and it became just crazy. And in all that being said, I don't dislike the teacher. I have mad respect for her. I just don't like the way that things were handled, and I do wish the teacher in question would have given me a little bit more grace, with being that I'm brand new to teaching. So you're gonna encounter stuff, people like that too, and being a new teacher. It's inevitable. There are some personalities you're definitely going to clash with. I just gotta say again, don't take it super personally. Take it with stride, and things will get better as you learn and through experience. So, and I'm saying all this as this is my last day when I break. I go back to work tomorrow, so I'm enjoying my last day of freedom before I head back into the trenches. Yeah, but again, I just want to say before I officially end this video that all of that being said, I do overall enjoy this job. It is quite literally the only job I've ever had any kind of passion in, and so I'm gonna stick with it and see where it takes me. If you had asked me 5 years ago even that I would be a special education teacher, I would have rolled my eyes at you and be like, no way, that's never ever gonna happen. But here we are now. Age 30, started teaching in August 2025. Here we are now. So I'm really curious and excited to see where I'll be 5 years from now, because let me tell you, life can change drastically and sometimes quicker than you think. The plans that we have made out for in our lives don't always come the way you think it will. So I'm getting off topic, getting a little philosophical there. But thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you took something from it. I also have a link in the description below if you want to donate any money to my classroom. It's a GoFundMe link. A lot of people have donated already throughout the months, which is great. But kids being kids, a lot of the stuff in my classroom gets stolen or broken, and which means I just gotta replace the stuff, which unfortunately does add up quickly because in this day and age, buying school supplies adds up very quickly. So any extra money would really help. So okay, that is it. I've dragged this out for long enough now. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please donate if you are able to. Any amount is appreciated, and I hope you guys have a fantastic start to your new year. Thank you again. Bye-bye.